Imagine you've been sitting, waiting 6 years. 6 years of coffin drops, of buildings, off ladders, into crowds. 6 years of being told you're small, too weird, too unhinged to carry a company. 6 years of sleeping in your car, literally, to chase something everyone else said you couldn't have. And then in 2 minutes on your home turf in Washington State, you take down the salt of the earth. That happened for Darby Allin because, as if you haven't heard, he is your AEW World Champion. And now, 3 weeks later, we've got a rematch with something MJF values more than the belt itself on the line. So let's get into it. Welcome to the T-Drop Strong Brew No Soft Behavior. Let's talk about the upcoming match between MJF and Darby Allin, and the stipulation that it will entail. 3 things we'll cover today. 1, what actually happened on April 15 and why this squash was the right call. 2, what Tony Khan said the day before it happened and why it matters more than most people are giving it credit for. And 3, the Double or Nothing rematch, the hair stipulation, and what the real stakes are. So let's get into it. So let's start with April 15. AEW Dynamite Spring Breakthrough Angel of the Wings Arena in Washington. That's Darby Allin's backyard. MJF walks in as champion. He's been champion for 109 days. At the point, he won it at the World's End in 2025, ran through Swerve Strickland, Adam Page, Samoa Joe, all in one in the same night. The man earned that title. He already defended it against Bandido, Brody King, Kevin Knight, Adam Page, and Kenny Omega. Then came Dynamite Spring Breakthrough. Darby hits 4 consecutive coffin drops. He does a headlock takeover, and it's over. 2 minutes. Now here's where some people in the IWC started screaming, "They buried MJF." Let me ask you something. Did they though? Because look at what some wrestling reports are saying. For example, ITR Wrestling reported that the real reason for the quick loss was that MJF has some movie commitments. His name has been on call sheets for months. The decision to run this quick wasn't disrespect. It was scheduling reality wrapped in storytelling. Before any of this though, Darby had to earn the shot at AEW Dynasty. He beat Andrade a little clean to get there. So it didn't just fall in his lap. And for Darby specifically, let me slow down on this for a second. This is a man who told in a Yahoo Sports report that I said I'm going to make it in this world of wrestling as Darby Allin, or I'm going to fail as Darby Allin. I set the bar with myself. Hey, I've been homeless. I've done all this stuff. I'm not afraid to go back to that. And if I can't have to compromise my soul to make it, I can't. You can't make me. He said that back on April 28th of this year. He builds his character around his reality. And now his reality is the AEW World Champion. Here's something very important when it comes to this. The squash looked ugly on the surface, and it was absolutely the right call because MJF still looks good and Darby Allin is still getting the moment he deserves. But now let's talk about MJF, because here's what people miss when they talk about his loss. MJF didn't just lose in a vacuum. He lost because AEW had to balance a business reality with a narrative reality, and they found a way to honor both. It's been confirmed that MJF is built heavily into AEW creative plans throughout the summer. The title loss is just a chapter, not the conclusion of this era of MJF's career. While Culture reported that the original plan for Double or Nothing was a multi-man situation with MJF, those plans changed because instead they want to do a one-on-one rematch with a stipulation for Double or Nothing between him and Darby Allin. And it gets interesting. Darby Allin, the new AEW World Champion, doesn't want MJF's Burberry scarf. Doesn't want his diamond ring. He doesn't want the $1 million. Like, he was trying to get something out of him. He's like, MJF was trying to give him something in order to get the rematch he says he deserves. And Darby Allin said he doesn't want any of that. He said instead he wants his hair. He also said that some of his hair is plugged from turkey, like he did the turkey hair treatment, which everyone started laughing at. So we get now a title versus hair AEW World Championship at Queens, New York on May 24th for Double or Nothing. Let me break down why this stipulation is genius. MJF flew apparently to Turkey to get hair transplants. And apparently that's true. Darby is targeting the one thing money can't immediately replace. Queens is a stone throw away from Plainsview, Long Island, MJF's hometown. MJF has 1 week to agree to this match. He has to show up at next Wednesday's contract signing, or Darby says he'll never, ever grant him another title. How can MJF say no? He's going to have to say yes if he wants that title. So that becomes a psychological hook for this match. And that's why this match is working. But anyway, what do you guys think? Does MJF show up to the contract signing, or does he fold? Let me know in the comments. But now, let's talk about some of Tony Khan's instincts when it comes to this. This is something that I don't think most wrestling coverage have talked about and completely glossed over. The day before Darby wins the title, Tony Khan sits down with King 5 News. And this was said by Fightful. Like, they're the only ones that talk about it, but not many people talked about it afterwards. Tony Khan said to King 5 on April 14th that from now on, I will only trust my instincts. I will only execute the ideas that I believe in. That was from Tony Khan. Now, for context, and I need you to pay attention to how this is going to land based on the current climate when it comes to AEW. At the end of 2025, Khan had publicly admitted he was involving too many voices in AEW's creative process, too many hands in the pot, talent influence, veterans input, creative by committee. The IWC has been screaming about inconsistency booking for the better part of that year. And then 24 hours before one of the most emotionally resonated changes in AEW history, this is what he says publicly. Now, I check Reddit and they're pretty much split when it comes to this. On one end, they say, how many times has he said this? On the other hand, they're saying he was right. AEW has been on fire ever since. And somewhere in the middle, the most honest read is, for better or worse, all the credit and blame goes to him now. There's no one else we can blame if the story goes bad going forward, because he said he's having less people involved. That last one is the one that is important. That last thing that was said in Reddit. Now, what's important is I'm not interested in being a Tony Khan defender or a Tony Khan critic. I'm interested in the outcome of all these decisions. And the outcomes right now, Darby's title win landed. It was great. The hair stipulation is interesting. The gauntlet derby that Darby is running, Pac, Okada, MJF. It's interesting things that you will think it's compelling television. If that's what trusting his instincts look like, I think we can work with that. But here's where I won't do. I won't pretend the quote doesn't carry weight because it signals something about accountability. Tony Khan just made it publicly clear, and he made a public deal with himself that he just puts his name on every creative decision going forward. That's it. Anything goes wrong, it's on him. Now, let's build this out. You got Darby Allin, a man who literally slept in his car to chase his moment as the babyface champion, running 3 title defenses in the AEW space for a month. You got MJF, arguably the best promoter in wrestling today, bar none, as the hometown villain coming back for what he believes is his title in Queens with his most personal insecurity on the line. And you got Tony Khan, who just declared publicly that he's betting everything on his own instincts, booking both of them in what could be the centerpiece of AEW's biggest show of this year. So when it comes to all this, in my world, Darby brings danger, MJF brings gravity, Tony Khan, the new way, says he brings the instinct. The question is whether all 3 pull the same direction or 3 different ones. Because think about it, if MJF is juggling movie commitments, Darby is doing the best in-ring work of his life right now, and Tony just publicly staked his creative credibility on delivering at Double or Nothing. I don't know, man. If May 24 delivers and this card has every structural reason to, and Khan's instincts were right, AEW's 2026 story writes itself into the history books. And if it doesn't, well, people are going to bring back what he said. They're going to say, here are the receipts, what you said about you being the writer. Regardless, this is the match. This is the moment. May 24th, Queens, New York, title versus hair at Double or Nothing. I'm locked in. And if you're a fan of this company, you should be too, to be honest. Now, before I go, As always, 3 questions. 1, does MJF show up to the next week's contract signing or does he stall? 2, who walks out of Double or Nothing as the AEW champion? And 3, Tony Khan says he's trusting his instincts now. Is this a good thing or the same story that he's told before but a different chapter? Drop your thoughts below and let me know. As always, if the T hit right, hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.